Hey everybody, Bill Vasey here. Yeah, looking forward to this session with ELECTROWorx. ELECTROWorx has matured over a decade now and just has phenomenal content. With the advancement of CADWorx, we are able to do some pretty amazing things when it comes to electrical instrumentation and even controls today with CADWorx. So let's go ahead and get started. You'll find a little bit of information about ELECTROWorx on our website. Just browse out to our website, go under software, and then you'll look under ELECTROWorx. But ELECTROWorx has 2D content and 3D content now to handle a wide variety of project tasks. Today we're just going to focus on the 3D side of things and then move into using it for junction boxes, routing conduit, but we're going to leverage all the CADWorx capabilities of line numbering and tagging so we get annotation to come out on drawings at the end. Of course, those drawings are going to be complete with bills of materials. We have a lot of control with bills of materials, so ultimately we'll do an isometric view and get some bills of materials put on a piece of paper. Yeah, the software being used today is just simply CADWorx PLANT. We don't need any other applications. I am going to throw in a little ViewWorx, AnnoWorx, and BubbleWorx. These are ECE plugins for purpose, and their names pretty much describe what they do. Had Excel in the mix today. I'm not sure we're going to get to Excel, but Excel is certainly an output or deliverable. But just very simple. CADWorx gets the job done. When it comes to 3D modeling, the CADWorx has specifications, and those specifications allow us to spec drive electrical design. We're inserting components just like piping. We're able to change size, change spec even, move, copy, rotate. Everything that CADWorx can do very well. I'm going to spend some time on getting deliverables out today. I'm going to produce area plans very quickly. I want to go and start annotating those area plans very quickly. I want to be able to change a size on a component, change a spec on a component, be able to, again, copy and rotate annotation. So we'll see this in action today. It doesn't take a whole lot to implement or deploy ELECTROWorx. It's pretty much a large block library ready to work with CADWorx. So once you figure out the scope of materials, build specifications around it, then it's just a matter of laying the components into a 3D model and generating drawings. So certainly some CAD standards like layer states and layer controls and all that comes into play, just like every other discipline. But overall, within 3 to 6 weeks, we're pretty comfortable you can stand up ELECTROWorx and be modeling and producing deliverables for the E, I, and C part of your business. After we're all done, let's talk about this. We're very interested in helping you get this stood up. And let's take a look at what we mean. So give me a second here. I'm just going to switch over to CADWorx PLANT and we'll start modeling. Okay, I'm in CADWorx PLANT and I'm going to start out with the model. So this is the production model. We've already got a bunch of electrical hardware modeled in this area 300. This is area 300-03. This is just where a lot of our work's taking place. And the isometric perspective here allows me to see my volumes that I have defined as areas. I'm going to go ahead and turn those off here just by detaching the 2D planning, the key plans. I don't need those anymore. Just wanted to set the stage for the area plan. But as I zoom in here to the production model, I'll see things like cable tray, And then zoom in here, we've got Conduit runs. Zoom over here, we'll have a control panel. This is all done using CADWorx. So we have quite a bit of capability with CADWorx. What I'm going to do is just come out into space here and start modeling. So the first thing I want to do is leverage CADWorx equipment. CADWorx equipment allows me basically to draw a box. So I'm going to go and select the box type of equipment. I'm going to call this CP2000, Control Panel 2000. And now I'm just going to go select the box, and then I'm going to pick a point on the screen and just put it here in space. Once we have the box in space, then I'm able to start editing the box. And here we put in the name of the box. That will give me the annotation backbone that I need. Here I can adjust the size of the box. So ultimately I just want to end up with a 12 by 36 by 42 panel here. So I'm just adjusting the height, width, and length to give me the size of the panel that I want to work with. And that's basically it. I have Control Panel 2000 just like that. Now we can take this one step further, and I can add nozzles to this box. Now this may sound a little crazy, but if I add a nozzle, comes in as a flange because that's the default, I can go modify that to 1.5 inch threaded coupling. So I'm going to browse out and change my settings here to get to a threaded coupling. Be sure to change the pressure class. This is usually where people get hung up on this part of it. But there I've got a nozzle with an extension. Now, this nozzle's coming out the back. We can make adjustments by going back to the main dialog and adjusting the position of this now. So this nozzle I want to have in the positive Z direction. I want to have it in the top. So I apply that. It's telling me I need to have a larger D value here, so it won't let me get in trouble. So it's asking me to basically get that nozzle outside the boundary of the box. Right now it's inside the boundary, so I need to change this boundary. Go to 24, that'll get outside a little bit. So now I've got the nozzle coming top dead center. I can further refine this by offsetting it 16 inches, and I want to push it back so a couple inches towards the back of the enclosure. So I have complete control over this nozzle and where this nozzle resides, and I can route off of that using Conduit. That'll be the next step, right? But before I do, let me go ahead and copy that nozzle. So I'm going to copy from the equipment palette and just paste it onto this. Now it always puts it dead center. So now my task is just to take this 1.5 inch nozzle and position it 2 inches back, and then I'm going to offset this to 13 inches. Oh, that's too close. Let me change that to 10 inches. Awesome. So there's my 2 hubs that I can route Conduit from. Let me go ahead and name these hubs the Conduit run. So if I'm coming off an enclosure like this, I'm going out to the field and driving a light or driving an instrument. This is going to be CP200-001. This is my line number basically. This is my Conduit run. Another run, CP2000, is going to be 002. Just very simple naming convention for a Conduit run. But let's start at the nozzle. So now I've got Control Panel 2000 with 2 nozzles on it that represent 2 Conduit runs. All right, let me get set here for drawing pipe. No, I mean Conduit. Because it's CADWorx, because it's pipe, we can use the spec editor here and just pick the spec we want to use. Now ELECTROWorx comes with a bunch of specs, Appleton, Crouse-Hinds, all these conduit type components, wireway components, cable tray components. So we pick a size here, 1.5 inches. I'm going to route with a 10-foot piece of conduit. I've got 20 as an optional component, so that's sitting there in blue. So I'm going to run with 10-foot conduit. And it's just CADWorx at this point with a piece of pipe that's been specified as conduit, so straight off the nozzle. I want to make adjustments, just hitting the plus sign, and there I'm going to be able to elbow off of that piece of pipe, and then with CADWorx I can put in the bend of any radius. So we just simply have a bend in there that's called a bend, and then I can go to user shapes and go after all sorts of 3D blocks, and here we have a block of a T. I can just continue on. So CADWorx is just real-time routing. Go to my user shapes, and we're using the user shape capability. There's another T. Drop a T in, pick the direction. There are 2 T's. Let me do some copying. So now that I've got one in there, I could keep drawing, but it's CADWorx, so I can copy and copy and copy. This is one of the wonderful aspects of CADWorx, is its ease of use in those terms. Now if I want to come off of this 1.5 inch body, but I want to come off reduced, what do? Well, one of the things I can do is start the route and go and put, not a coupling in here, but a reducer. And what's this? This is going to be a bushing, right? So my electrical world, I'm coming off 1.5 inches. There's all my bushings. And we call them conduit bushings. Why not? So I'm going to pick a 3/4 inch here and just continue routing with a piece of 10-foot conduit. Go down a little bit here. I'm just going to drop in another user shape, and I'm going to pick a device box. So this is going to be an FD device box, and just put that device box at the end of that conduit run. Could be a switch on a wall. Here with CADWorx again, so just copy. Once I get one device box in there, I can go ahead and just copy, and oops, I missed my device box. I'll circle back around and grab that again. Let me get the, there you go. Could be a copy, could be an array, could be, but let me just get this device box on there. Endpoint, endpoint. All right, so got a complete run here, conduit run. All right, I want to switch gears. I'm going to go to cable tray. So we got the boxes. Here comes cable tray. So I'm just going to go pick a different spec. I'm going to pick the vented. The vented has the rungs in it, so it's a little nicer looking than the non-vented, which is solid bottom, but we have all this difference. Let me drop this in here, and I'm just going to drop the cable tray at nearest, and then I just use my plane to get vertical and adjust my plane just by typing P. Then I can get the orientation exactly the way I want it. And I'm going to put a piece of 48-inch in there. Now let me go get a vertical transition here, and we've got these in here as optional. They're blue. But oops, I picked the wrong one. That was an inside. Let me go to the outside and just pick the last point, and it pretty much just pops right into place and orientated correctly. Let me go to a piece of straight run, just hit the space bar and pick last, and it just goes to the end. So now I'm just in build mode. Put a 90-degree bend on there, just space bar, pick direction. Let me go pick a piece of horizontal straight run. Let me put a T in there. Now T's, I can pick either direction. You can see this direction, if we zoom in, it's kind of upside down. If I just use the mirror feature here, I can go the other direction. So just by typing Z at the space bar, I get a lot of functionality there to flip these objects around and get them orientated correctly. So there you go, just placing components in space. But those are all intelligent components. They all generate bills of materials. They all can carry line numbers. That's CADWorx Modeling Electrical 101. All right, everybody. Well, that's a little bit of modeling. Let me switch gears here a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and just back out and get to a plan view here. And just go ahead and delete this miscellaneous modeling I did up here in space and focus back into the modeling that I've already done, because I've further annotated the existing model because that's real. I've got some drawings to do. So I'm going to leverage all of the existing components and start really producing drawings from components that have been further annotated or further defined with line numbering and tagging. All right, so here we are in our production model again, and I'm going to now leverage the CADWorx isolate command to just demonstrate that we can use this for visibility and isolation. So if I just want to see the cable tray, I've enabled these CT200 and CT100, just cable tray 100, cable tray 200. And then if we want to look at the control panel 1000, we've got conduit coming in and conduit coming out of control panel 1000. Just by the naming convention of the conduit, we can see this. Let me do a partial here. Partial with the isolation will bring the CADWorx objects such as the structure and the enclosures back into view, so I get a nice visualization there. And there's our line number just to all right, I'm going to bring everything back into play. Look at this lamp. We also have the tagging. Just want to call out the tagging there as well. Also see the code right below tagging. So every component has a code, which is generally the manufacturer's part number. All right, so with all of this intelligence, line numbers, tagging, what can we do? I'm going to start producing drawings. So I've got a little bit of front-end loading here. I'm looking at an XREF that brings all of the electrical together. I've already defined my area plans within the model using the ViewWorks tool to create works boxes. So each of those have named views. So I've got a works box for every purple triangle. And with that, I'm able to create a plan view for every rectangle automatically. So just click the Go button and create, and I've just created a top view or plan view for every area. I'm going to zoom into area 303 again, so I'm just going to go find that plan, and now I'm going to open that plan, and this gives me a top view for that. I've got some work to do in this drawing, but the first thing I'm going to do is just change a layer state, because in my XREF I was committed to a layer state, and this will change everything to red and gray, which I'm going to use for all of my production drawings. So just with a click of a mouse, we change to a layer state. Let me just check real quick what this drawing is going to look like. So if I do a preview, here I can see in the preview that my platform is in the way. I can't see a lot of conduit. So I'm going to back out of this and go work on my layers a little bit. Got a layer property specific for grading, so I can get right to my grading, because that's always a challenge on my projects. So just by setting up a layer property, we're able to very quickly get to a view where those decks are no longer hiding my conduit and cable tray. Excuse me. So I'm going to go in here and annotate now that I get a good view, and I'm going to use AnnoWorx to do this. So this is the first segue into a Works plugin. Here I've got line tagging set up. Well, cable tray is line, so I can pick a line, and then it'll identify my cable tray 200 in the bottom of pipe or bottom of tray. Here I've got some conduit, so I'm going to do the same thing for the conduit. And I'm just in semi-auto mode here, picking objects or lines, placing the annotation where I want it, and then just getting all of that annotation completed. So as I zoom around and find the cable tray and the electrical devices I want to annotate, I can go add this annotation. Not only can we annotate line numbers, but we can also annotate the components and even the equipment. So let me go in here and go after the equipment. I'm just going to set the layer that I want to put this annotation on. So we're putting this on the text layer, and I'm going to use a leader to annotate that main control panel. So this would be CP1000 and my lighting panel, and then I've got some motor disconnects or hand switches that are also modeled in 3D space. So very quickly we can use the intelligence to get the major components, cable trays, annotated. Okay, I'm going to now use CADWorx to annotate all of the light fixtures. So the light fixtures have all been tagged, and just with a click of a mouse we get all of the light fixtures pointed to and tagged with a rectangle, hex, circle. It's a little bit of work to move those around and modify those, but there's not much to that. So that's a plan view. I want to get to an isometric perspective and a bill of material. I know we're getting a little late in the program here, so let me get to this view again. I just want to point out that we have this view, which basically is a finished drawing. So I'm going to leverage this again. I leveraged it for a plan view. Now I'm going to leverage it for an isometric view, and I'm going to pick that and pick a different template. And by picking a different template to an isometric template, I now get sheet A, and I could open up sheet A. Within sheet A, I've got the same CAD standard issue, so my go-to is my layer state, because it came in from my XREF. So let me get to that. Get everything red and gray, because this is the CAD standards for my. And I know I just want to have an isometric perspective to annotate the conduit and cable tray, so I'm going to go work on the layers real quick and, for instance, remove the structure or turn the structure off just by changing the state of the light bulb and the snowflake. There goes that. I want to get rid of my works boxes, which are in the background to tell me where my key plan locations are, my cutting planes. So I'll turn these off as well. I'm just reducing content further. I've got that little skid sitting up there. I'm going to take that skid out. So bring up the skid XREF. Highlight all the layers and turn them all off. All right, so I'm pretty much just down to conduit. It's clean enough that I can go ahead and run a bill of material and put the bubbles on. So let me start out by bubbling. Just like I did on the plan view, I'm going to do the same thing in an isometric perspective. So there are all the bubbles for all of the tagged items, in this case the lights predominantly. I'm going to run a CADWorx BOM total, so I just typed in BOM total in the command prompt, and I'm going to run through this. So this is just using CADWorx bill of material capability out of the box. Nice thing about CADWorx is when I do this, I can filter by line number. So here it's going to be my conduits. I just want to generate the conduits for things that contain CP and LP. So I'm using wildcards and stuff here to get a filter. But with that, I can go just cherry pick those conduit runs that I want to include in the bill of material. So I've got very finite control with CADWorx. So CADWorx will process this. It'll put the bill of material in the upper right-hand corner. It'll drop all the bubbles on. And then I do have a little bit of work to do here, but with CADWorx we have a tag relocate function, so it's just a click of a mouse, spacebar, onto the next tag. But with that, very quickly I can modify my bubbles and make them look the way I'd like to see them in a finished drawing. We have the bill of material here, so the bill of material is all complete with all of the user shapes and all the different sizes and links of conduit. So in essence, we have a pretty good start at a finished drawing, really in minutes, which is pretty amazing, almost electrifying. All right, let me get back to an overview here and a top view, and really just back to the main model. So I'm just backing out. Take a breath here, and the end of the webinar is come. So that was a lot of running through CADWorx and getting some deliverables done, but it was all done using ELECTROWorx today and CADWorx.